today we welcome Republican gubernatorial candidate, House of Delegates member Capito to talk economic issues. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Hoppy. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Let me start here. Would you say the current state of West Virginia economy is excellent, good, fair, or poor? How do you rate our economy now?
I would say the West Virginia economy right now is growing, Hoppy, and that's a very positive thing. When you look at where we are and where we've come from, the trend line is very, very positive. And our campaign message is very simple. I'm the get it done conservative in this race. And when we say that, we talk about what we've gotten done over the past 7 to 8 years to put us in a place where we are today. When you look back at 2017, we were running close to a $500 million deficit in the state of West Virginia. So what did we do? The leadership in the legislature, along with the good work of Governor Justice, we instituted those conservative policies. When we look at our budget, we cut our budget. We've kept flatline budgets in place. We've cut over 1,000 pieces of red tape to ensure that our small businesses have room to grow and can survive. And we've gone out and we've sold the state of West Virginia to the rest of the country, and it's yielding great results on the whole. So definitionally, I would say that West Virginia is growing because of the get-it-done conservative principles that we've put in place.
Capito is with us, Republican candidate for governor. Would you concede that, I think there are certainly positive signs. I don't think people could argue with the fact that overall the state is that the economy is growing. Would you concede, though, that growth is not even? There are parts of the state where there are big industrial development announcements, or parts of the state, the North Central, Eastern Panhandle, that are growing. But there are other parts of the state that simply are not. What about those parts of the state? What can you say as the potential next leader of West Virginia can be done, is reasonable to think could be done for those parts of the state?
We obviously want to focus as a state because we all, at the end of the day, we're all West Virginians, and we want the best for West Virginia. And as we grow the entire pie and we get it done for the entire state, the rest of the state can grow. Throughout the history of this state, we've obviously seen different regions grow at different times. That's happening now. That's no different than happens in probably any other state, and frankly, and in the country. But when you look countrywide, you look at a state like West Virginia with the killer policies that are coming out of the Biden administration, the inflation through the roof. I mean, I'm a parent of a 5 and an 8-year-old. I can tell you, I go to the grocery store. We're looking at, Christmas shopping and all of these things. And West Virginia is sort of bucking that trend when you look at our trend line versus the rest of the country in the face of massive inflation that's been caused, again, by the administration in Washington. So as we look at West Virginia as a whole, we're landing some of these large installations, these large growth potentials in parts of our state. Those are, of course, going to spread out. They're going to have tentacles. They're going to have direct jobs, of course, but they're going to have indirect jobs. And they're going to grow the base and grow the pie as a whole. So as we continue to grow the pie as a whole, I think the entire state benefits from that and provides more opportunities in those places that aren't growing right now to grow more rapidly.
But you said the killer Biden policies, but you would concede, would you not, that some of these economic development announcements in West Virginia have a direct correlation to the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a Biden policy, which is a Biden policy, that is providing billions of dollars for green energy projects. And some of those green energy projects, like the hydrogen hub and some of these others, are coming to West Virginia, or supposed to come to West Virginia, because of the very policy or policies that this current president has pushed and adopted. Isn't that fair to say?
I would suggest to you that the difference maker for West Virginia are the get-it-done conservative policies that I've helped to put in place in the leadership of West Virginia, along with Governor Justice, to create a predictable, long-term vision for growth in the state of West Virginia. Every state in the country has the opportunity to vie for different projects. But at the end of the day, these businesses are going to look at a state that has those critical, nuanced growth potential policies in place. That's exactly what we have in West Virginia, and I would credit, the difference that's the real difference maker, Hoppy.
More Capito is with us, Republican candidate for governor in West Virginia. We're focusing in on economic issues this morning. You talk about the policies that Republicans put in place. Is one of those that you believe that Republicans put in place is making West Virginia a right-to-work state? Do you believe that that has benefited West Virginia, and if you were governor, would you continue to support right-to-work, or do you believe that is something that, as unions would argue, is detrimental to the labor force in West Virginia?
Well, we've seen the economy grow here in the state of West Virginia since the time that West Virginia became a right-to-work state. We know that. It's fact. The economy's growing. Again, the trend line is good here. What's interesting to me, and again, we've driven close to 55,000 miles across this state listening to West Virginia workers, listening to West Virginia educators, visiting with churches and communities across this state. And there's no question that we have dedicated workers in the state of West Virginia. And for the first time in a long time, we actually have more jobs available than we have workers. So we have to continue to train our workforce in West Virginia. We need, that goes back to our education. What are our kids doing out of high school? What are the training paths that we're creating? But there's no question that a lot of the country and a lot of these sort of employers across the country that are deciding where their next move is going to be are looking at things like right to work. And quite frankly, from a lot of the discussions I've had, people aren't even educated quite yet that West Virginia is a right to work state.
More, the state has a practice now, and this has helped entice some of these businesses to come to West Virginia, of investing literally millions of dollars, in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars, into these projects to attract them to West Virginia or give them or create the infrastructure for them to locate in West Virginia. If you were, A, is that the right policy? And B, if you were governor, would you continue to spend state resources to attract businesses to West Virginia? Or do you think that businesses ought to stand on their own when they make those kinds of decisions?
We are competing right now in an incredibly, competitive environment, especially with the states around us right now. We know how critical having site-ready projects are. That's something that employers are looking for in West Virginia. When you look at sort of the checklist that these folks are looking at as they're evaluating their next investment, they're certainly looking at things like, are there sites that are available? Is there flat land to put certain businesses? They're also looking at what are the educational opportunities, what choices are parents getting. I'm proud to have been a leader in providing more choices in education. They're looking at what the tax structure is. I was proud to lead on the largest tax cut in the history of the state of West Virginia. They're looking at predictability. How is the government working with businesses? And frankly, how is the government getting out of the way of the business professionals to be able to grow their jobs and employ more people and provide bigger paychecks to the people of the state of West Virginia? Investments in infrastructure not only help our people that are here right now to get to work and to get their children to school, but it provides broader economic stimulation because we know that we sit within 2/3 of the population of the entire country in a very close proximity, which is super opportunistic right now. So we absolutely have to continue to ensure that we have good roads, good broadband, good water and sewage so that we can continue to grow the economy here in West Virginia.
So if you were a governor and a company came in, I'm not saying a fly-by-night company, but a company that had a good reputation, representative sitting in your office, and they said, Governor, we want to come to West Virginia, but we're going to need, I'll make up a number, $200 million in investments on your all's part to do A, B, C, D, and E. Would you be inclined to say, yes, we'll do that? I know it's a hypothetical, but I think it's an important point about the level to which a governor is willing to invest state dollars to try to lure businesses to West Virginia.
That is hypotheticals. Let me just tell you, and you probably can appreciate this, as chair of the Judiciary Committee, I often stand up and present bills to the entire body and then receive questions, and 99% of the time the questions that we get are hypotheticals. But I'll indulge to the extent that, of course, we want people coming to West Virginia and engaging in a dialogue about how they can bring their businesses here. It's all about working a deal. We had, President Trump was particularly talented in that, and that's why we saw a lot of economic stimulation under his presidency, because it's about finding a deal that works best for the people of West Virginia. And absolutely, as governor, I will always find the best deal for the people of the state of West Virginia to make their lives better and grow our economy.